All right, time now for Konrad's Car Clinic. I think that you have something on that, do you not?
Yes, I do.
I like that because I think we're talking to air filters today.
Correct.
Okay.
You know, and air filtration's pretty important part of the car because you want to keep all that particulate matter out of the combustion chamber that's going to scratch the cylinder walls and damage the piston rings.
That is on your ICE engine.
Right. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're keeping all of that particulate matter out of the inside of the engine. So through the years, manufacturers have played around with different air filtration systems, this one being basically an oil bath air filter out of a Tri-5 Chevrolet. Very typical of that generation, that they were actually the filtration media was bathed in oil,
right?
And then the air would pass through it. And a lot of this all depends on how much what's called media, how much surface can you get the air to pass through is how much air you can get to rush in, because if you restrict the amount of air going in, the power the engine puts out is reduced. So then they moved to a more of a round pleated filter, which is pretty common. Everybody sees that. That was kind of what was on top of your Quadrajet or such. And that was, you've heard Jeff and I talk about turn the air filter upside down and listen to the roar. Very, very common for a pleated filter. And the reason they pleat it is it creates more surface for the air to pass through. But what the filter does is it traps the particulate matter as the air passes through. So, one side of the filter is going to collect dirt. The other side of the filter should be clean. Now, just taking it out on the ground and banging it to get all the dirt out of it is probably not the best thing to do, because that can affect the size, the micron size of the media itself. So now if you look at how big the micron size is of the media, a human hair is going to be 35 to 200 microns. I think 35 is a blonde, 200 is a redhead. Pollen size is somewhere between 10 and 100 microns. So you want, that can be abrasive in there as well. Spores, 10 to 35 microns. Bacteria, 0.3 to 35 microns. And the typical air filter is going to be somewhere in the 7 to 10 micron filtration area. So they're trying to catch a lot of stuff. So you need to make sure you're replacing your air filter frequently enough to get all that stuff out. So, lung damaging dust is about 0.5 to 5 microns, and smoke is generally 1/100th to 1 micron. And then the next generation of filtration that's out there, again, there's still vehicles that use the round pleated filter, and then they've gone to the cartridge filter, which is the short, stocky one. But you find a lot of cars today are going to have the square box pleated filter, which is extremely common. So how do you get more air through one without allowing more debris or contaminants to pass through it? And that's where you get the K&N filters. So what they've kind of done is they've looked back in past and added an oil coating to these filters. So as the material, the air passes through, the oil is trying to collect like a glue to stick the contaminants to the filtration device itself. So if you've got a K&N, you want to make sure you keep it clean it with soap and water, and then you want to rebathe it with the oil itself.
They actually have some cleaning spray that you put in there,
and
let it soak, and then you wash it out.
Oil.
Yep, and then
re-oil. So again, it's still, there's maintenance required even if you have the K&N. But the K&N is going to be a 20 to 25 micron opening, so it's going to let a lot more air through. No, they're not cheap. Yeah. But it lets a lot more air flow through, and that's where the power increases come from.
I got some recalls real quickly before we have to take a break.